Well, this is a little compilation video because I've been looking through the camera, what's stacked up there, and some lovely images of when I travelled down to Clifton to see my friends Terry and Law. It's evening now, it's about 7:30 here at Bealtaine Cottage, and I've been working for all of the day. You can see the state of my fingernails. Look. Those are working hands. Look at them. Ruined. You know my lovely nails and all the nail polish and stuff? Well, anyway, they've all been cut down to little or nothing. I've enjoyed my work today. I've been cutting back, opening paths, getting everything... Oh, there's a wee bird flew past there. Getting everything sorted out now for when storms come. Because of course this is September and quite a lot of storms are to be experienced here in the west of Ireland over the course of the autumn and winter. Got lots of stuff there to go through the shredder for my compost toilet. And I'll just show you down there. I've been cutting back. I'll give you a closer view. I did post some photographs up on Facebook and Twitter of the little bonsai pine tree, and of course the reason why it's bonsai'd is because I planted the trees very close together initially, and the pine tree was getting very, very big and there was a beech tree beside it. So I thought the best thing to do was to bonsai either one or the other. Now by bonsai, it's not traditional bonsai in terms of those little things that you buy in the garden centres. It just means keeping the tree small, a bit like the bay trees that I've pruned. It's a case of keeping them small. So the trunks grow really large, and they still have that wonderful age about them, but they are small in stature and usually a lot more interesting as well. But I only do it when I have to do it, so to speak. I don't do it as a deliberate act, but rather that than have to lose the tree. And of course, by the time I realised that the trees were growing so fast together, it was too late really to kind of dig the pine tree up. The roots had really gone down into the earth. So I was walking through the gardens over recent weeks, the past 2 weeks, because I've been very involved in getting all the post out to various destinations all over the world with my latest book, and realise that there's a massive amount of work to be done. I mean, for example, these were the 2 arches up here, but the willow has grown so tall over the course of the summer that it's basically collapsed the arches, and this was an area I just didn't get to over recent months. So that's a job to be done. Good news for everyone living in Australia and New Zealand. I took all the books, and some of them were ordered as far back as March. And you know, there's been a problem with the post, and that there's not enough air traffic. In fact, there's no air traffic going from Ireland to Australia and New Zealand, as far as I know, because An Post, that's the Irish postal system, has just basically cancelled all the post to Australia and New Zealand. So what I did, and it was double the postage, but you know, it was worth it. It was worth it to make sure everyone got their books. I took the post to Australia and New Zealand, up across the border into what is UK territory, which is Northern Ireland, and got everything posted from there. So it's on its way, everyone. Everyone who's ordered books who live in Australia or New Zealand, it's on its way. Now, just be patient. It's on its way. So don't be emailing me in 2 weeks' time saying, I still haven't received it. It could take some time, but it is on its way. All right? So, very happy with that. And I also want to say a thank you to some people who made donations to help out with that. And I'm very grateful for that. I had actually factored all that extra cost into my budget. So, it wasn't something that I was complaining about, but I was a bit shocked with the final amount of money. But thank you to those of you who've helped. I don't expect anyone who receives this post to have to contribute extra, all right? It was my delight, actually. It was my delight to just get the post off to you. Are you coming with me? Are you going to stand there watching me from afar? He's peeping at me. So, made a foray into this area where the stone circle is, and I want to show you what I've done with the stone circle. Noticing the plants have thrived so much this year, even this Mahonia, which I planted, I think, last year. I mean, it's just really gone so amazingly abundant. It's grown abundantly. So let's just walk on up to the stone circle. You remember, of course, that the stone circle was encapsulated with willow arches, and I planted the willow in at the same time as I made the circle, or I put the stones into place, should we say, because the stones were there. Well, what happened with Storm Ellen and Storm Frances was that a lot of the willow arches collapsed, and again under their own weight, and they were sort of collapsing into the middle of the circle. And of course, I've planted an oak tree in the middle of the circle. Now, the oak tree is a permanent feature. Willow, of course, when you do fedges and arches, willow isn't a permanent feature. It will only grow as long as it has access to light. So I've taken down the willow arches, and because the tree, look at the little oak tree, look how it has progressed this year. I mean, remember that? It was a tiny little tree that I put in, because of course the best way to have a strong tree is to plant it when it's really small, not when it needs to have a stake and all that nonsense. Plant it small, keep the area clear of weeds, that's very important. A little robin on that stone. And feed it well and nurture it. And so it was time to take down the willow arches and let the tree have all the light. So eventually, of course, this tree will be massive, and there will probably only be room between the tree trunk and the stones to walk in a very tight circle. Can you imagine that? I mean, I will be well planted under another tree, and the tree probably about 40 feet high by the time that this oak tree here comes into its own. That fills me with joy. Look at the little robin over there with the stone, you see? Because I've mowed the grass up here and I've been clearing the weeds away from the stones. The little robins, they're very clever. They know I've been in there, and they know now that there'll be lots of little insects and little worms. And so this is another tree, of course, that I planted, which is a sweet chestnut. So that had to have some more room as well. And as you can imagine, it was beginning to overhang the willow arches and, ensure that they weren't getting enough light. I've also pruned this plum tree, and I'll swing the camera around, and you see here's another tree which has grown immensely this year, and this is the sycamore. Now I've noticed that the sycamore, along with the oak, absolutely flourishes here at Bealtaine Cottage. Flourishes. Grows so vigorously, so handsomely, so strong. But look at this beautiful oak tree. I mean, look at the leaves on it. And look at all this. And this is the second growth this year, by the way. Because the initial growth this year started here, worked its way up. And then what I did, I actually pinched out the leader. And so the tree then branched off. This is to make it a really beautiful shape. It's always a good idea to pinch out the leader. And so now it's gone into different branches, and I must say, very, very healthy. Very healthy. And of course it's not staked. A tree which is planted young does not need to be staked. It will balance itself, and as it balances itself in the wind, the roots grip more firmly into the earth. And of course that is nature's way. So I'm pleased with the way it's all turned out. A lot of hard work. I'll show you up around here, because of course I was clearing and clearing and clearing, and still have a lot to clear. I mean, this is a pathway here, look. I mean, that looks like a branch of something. Oh yeah, it's part of the plum tree. You can see how big the branches are that I had to cut off. So I've got a lot more clearing to do this way. But I took a lot of the stuff that I cut back, and I've put it around here. I've just stacked it in on top of all this blackthorn. Now a lot of it is blackthorn, and a lot of it's willow. So it's all stacked up there. And of course there will be an animal or two. We'll find that to be a wonderful winter abode. So these I call habitat piles. And of course eventually it all rots down, it all biodegrades down and makes earth. That's how Mother Earth makes earth. So still a lot of dieback in these beautiful ash trees, but at least what I have done is I've planted such a wide variety of trees that losing one species like the ash won't impinge too much upon the general abundant woodland gardens here. Now look how much light is getting into the stone circle now, even at this late hour of the evening. Oh, look at the little robins. So, yes, I absolutely love this little oak tree. It's beautiful. I feel very attached to that. And you know, I felt compelled to plant it. Was it last year or the year before? There's such a timelessness about living here. But it was just... It had to be there in the middle. And I think that when I feel compelled to do things, to plant things, to create things, I think it is, in fact I believe it is, a way of energy finding a way in. So there's this innate intuitive response to the energies around me. And once I react to that positively and do whatever it is I feel compelled to do, to plant, to create, then there is a wonderful energy then comes up behind that action and takes over. And such is the way with all parts of this land that I've planted. Like it's just been like that all the way down through the 16 years. So there we go. I'm looking through the camera lens here and there's quite an unearthly light. Very strange. Very still as well, isn't it? And just as I said the word still, the little leaves on the oak tree just gently waved at me. So, got lots more cutting back to do in this area. This is where I planted lots of different, not planted, I just put cuttings into the earth. And there's some lovely dogwood taking over there. And of course the spirea, which is beautiful. So, walk on down. Because you realise now just how dark it is in here. That's why it's quite an unearthly light up there at the stone circle. Doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Because there's the other oak tree over there, look. In this area, like I've got a lot of oak trees planted throughout the land. There's so much shade now from the trees. It gives a lovely balance of light and dark, you know, when you're walking around the land. Of course I cut all this area back, because I couldn't actually get up here. This was completely overgrown. So all this has been done. And just stacking wood and stuff over there for the Samhain bonfire. Still lots and lots of apples through there and on the apple trees. And there's Jack still peeping around. So I've got 2 wheelbarrows on the go. And then I pruned back quite a lot of the rose. The rose that I transplanted, which I thought wasn't going to do anything at all, has grown beautifully. Absolutely masses of new stems coming up from the bottom. So I cut all those out because I want to keep it very much in this shape. And then look at the flowers there on the jasmine. So I'll finish off with just a little walk round here. Lots and lots of berries. Quite luminescent now in this light. Lots of berries. And then I moved the bench and the old Singer sewing machine table around here because this is such a beautiful spot just to sit. Well, not that I sit much, but when I do get a notion on me to sit down, this is a lovely spot because I can see down the driveway. You can just see the curve of the driveway as it goes off into the distance. Little birds are singing away. There's a poor cow in the distance. I think she must be birthing or something. She's been moaning like that now for days. I think Jack's quite tired. He's been out in the land with me all day. And, oh, he's got a little, there's a little, let me just pull that off. Yeah, what do they call them? Those little Klingons. Anyway, it's gone now. And I must wash my hands when I go in. Little robin up there, look, just on the branch, on the cut branch of the tree. So, as you can see, my beautiful gable garden is coming along lovely. This has only been in place for a few months. I think I started that last autumn, didn't I? So it's not even a year old yet. And look how it is shaping up. So, someone asked me on Twitter what I do with all the cuttings. Well, of course, they don't leave Bealtaine Cottage. They stay here on the land, and this is what adds to the immense fertility on what was, 16 years ago, marginal land. So, there's lots more I have to say, and I should have said, because I've got some cards from people, and I need to mention names, but as usual, this is spur of the moment. I've come out with the camera. I don't have any lists of words or names or reminders with me. I know I should, but I dare say this is how I'm going to keep filming forever and a day. All very spontaneous and unscripted, unedited, except of course for the bits that you see are obviously edited, like what's going to come after this, which will be a whole series of little vignettes and photographs of the gardens, the woodland gardens, and I think I may be putting some of the pictures of my trip down to Clifton. I might leave that for another day because this video is long enough. It's coming up to 24 minutes. So it's going to take me ages to upload. So on that pleasant note, blessings to you all. Have a lovely evening. This is the weekend now. The weekend's looming. There's Kilronan Mountain just through the trees. So blessings to you all, my friends.